This episode is about minutes 31 through 35 of The Empire Strikes Back, with new guest Conor Power. Hello there, and welcome to Star Wars Music Minute, where we celebrate the music and sound of Star Wars 5 cinematic minutes at a time. I'm Chrysanthi Tan, but you can call me Xanthi, and today we are continuing along with the Battle of Hoth, pretty much finishing it, I believe, and we're in minutes 31 through 35 of Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Conor Power is here with me today, a film music PhD researcher whom I am very excited to talk to. I know we already had a pretty hefty introduction to the Battle of Hoth with Dom Sewell last week, and we're continuing along with some of the similar resources and also some new ideas today. So welcome to the show, Conor.
Thank you very, very much for having me. I'm super excited to talk about very dense set of minutes. As I said to you when we had a brief chat about it already, there's a lot going on here.
Oh my gosh, it's
probably too much, maybe.
There's so much going on, and the more that I sort of study the Battle of Hoth, I'm so like, what if I just can't imagine what it would be like to have a fraction of that skill, to be able to write this.
Just comprehend everything. I was thinking, like, yeah, I don't think is there anything like this level of like denseness, like sonically in A New Hope, like that he'd written before this. Like, was this kind of like deep in straight away? Maybe the final battle at the end. But
yeah, I was gonna say the Battle of Yavin is really dense as well. Yeah.
But even sound design wise, like versus the music, I feel like there's probably maybe a little bit more going on here in terms of variety of sounds, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And the AT-AT, like the addition of the AT-AT walkers is quite a new. It's a stunning sound, really. It's a very unique sound, and they don't shy away from it in the Battle of Hoth. It's really like the sound is really prominent, like foreboding. Like you can hear we'll get to listening to the minutes in a second, but like you can hear when these giant mechanical monster, like giant mechanical whatever, however they describe them, I forgot, take each step, and when it's about to crush Luke and all that.
Yeah, you feel the weight of it in your ears somehow.
Totally.
I don't know. You probably do you know how the sound was made?
Yes, that, actually.
Like, stomping. You probably talked about it already, did you?
I can't. I don't know if I did already, but I'm going to remind everyone just in case. And okay. Here's the AT-AT walkers. Okay, so several elements. By the way, I'm taking this from Ben Burtt interviews, and interviews from people who are speaking about Ben Burtt. But these are all compiled on the Empire Strikes Back Sound Design Explained video, which has just the compiled interviews. You don't hear any interviewer's voice. You just hear straight up like Ben Burtt's voice. It's really organized video. Link will be in the show notes, and that's put together by InDesign. What is it? Sound Design. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Why can't I remember the source?
It'll be in the show notes.
That's what it is. In-depth sound design. Whew. Wow. I bring up that resource so often, and Anyway, the AT-AT walkers. Several elements. One, the distant thump of an artillery explosion that they recorded in Oklahoma, mixed with 2, the rhythmic sound of a metal shearing machine, and 3, the walker itself needed slightly squeaky legs, and Ben Burtt found that when he was going out to get the newspaper one morning and opened the lid on the dumpster. So.
The lid of his dumpster?
Yeah. So Ben Burtt took the artillery thump plus metal shearing machine plus dumpster door squeak and built loops out of those sounds so they would repeat over and over again at a set rhythm. And they could accelerate or deaccelerate the loop to make the walkers work at different speeds. And then the sound of the lasers firing from the walkers are a snippet of the sound of an old biplane motor, the sound it makes when you crank it up to a high RPM rate and kick in the motor mechanically. So the sound of it kicking in, the squeaking sound, is what's used for the walker lasers.
Okay. Oh my God, there's so much. You don't realize how much effort just goes into something small like that we kind of take for granted. That's just so seeped into our like cultural knowledge of like what this sound is and how it sounds and all these tiny little things that make it up. I was thinking as you're saying all that, like, oh my God, the budget must be like so much higher for the sound design because they're getting the sound of like actual like artillery like maneuvering around. But then like if the other sounds like is dumpster lid, like it's still like it's the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of creativity. A lot of like throwing things together and seeing what works. Here's an image of the AT-ATs here, firing lasers.
And I love how the sound of their own lasers is so distinct then from like everything else as well, because you'd think if they were lazy, they just like repeat the same blaster fire over and over and over again. But each little vehicle or gun or whatever has its own like distinct sonic identity as well as a visual identity too, which makes everything so much more vivid, I suppose.
Absolutely. And I think this like the striking visual, the head of the AT-AT looks like Yoda to me. Or like a tortoise or something. Like I feel like right here, the part I'm zooming in on, looks, I don't know.
Oh, I see that a little bit.
It's a conspiracy. No. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and I think like the Battle of Hoth is such a, I don't want to overuse the word iconic, but like it is iconic. It is an icon in culture, film history and everything. Largely because of the visual elements. Like I think story-wise, nothing that interesting is happening. Or not that it's not interesting, it's just the main thing is the visuals, the music, the whole tableau of it.
Mm-hmm. It's not like narratively significant really what's going on. The movie could have started with them escaping some planet. We could just like been in media res that there was some like how the Last Jedi started, like they could just literally like be fleeing the planet like straight away rather than having this whole battle before it. But it's kind of like adding that texture and color to the world as well.
Let's play a little bit from the beginning of these minutes. Just warning listeners, it's loud because we're in a battle, so there's going to be lots of shooting and stuff. I'll stop right there just because already that 20 seconds was already so dense.
Especially, but I feel like you can still tell everything that's going on. I know you probably mentioned this like all the time, even though we don't have the visuals in front of us, you can like just see everything so clearly just because the sound is so specific and because the music is coloring every like tiny little action so I don't know, succinctly.
Do you mean like you can tell where shots are being fired from?
Oh no, more like I can picture the visuals like really, really clearly just based on just the general sonic content of it, like and how the music's like, I don't know, I feel like the music for a lot of the scene it's nearly like a referee or like a narrator. It's kind of, you can tell.
I like that.
I just thought because the way that, I don't know, I don't want to spoil what comes along later on, but just the way themes are placed in certain moments, it's nearly like I was nearly like taking score, like how many times are we hearing the Imperial March? How many times do we hear the main title? And then is that like Empire 4, Rebels 3, just based off like the little the fragments of each motif, even though we haven't heard any yet, but you're getting I don't know, it's all kind of like foreshadowing that idea of what's to come.
Yeah, we're not hearing main motifs, but we are hearing like little motifs, right? We're hearing like hints of sides, I guess. Like when we hear this, like if we hear lots of like perfect intervals or like perfect fourths, perfect fifths. If there are just certain things that evoke, even if it's not like a theme, it evokes the heroes, and there are certain sounds that evoke the antagonists. Yeah,
and even just the general, I don't know, you can hear like I'm not a sports fan, so I don't know why I'm going with the sports metaphor with the referee.
I've made this
mistake.
You can hear
like, I'm going to get like sucked into it. But you can hear like nearly the pace of it and the energy of the battle as well, and just the propulsive like brass bump 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 bump, just that like little offbeat like emphasis every now and then. You can hear that like drive going throughout it, and I think that's like a little rhythmic or harmonic like motif that comes back again later in some way, shape, or form for like flight or escape or something in general, if you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes, and this thing is what Frank Lehman calls the dark side ostinato. So it's much lower. Let's try it again.
Yes.
That thing that we're hearing right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a simple idea, but I don't know. It's like the little three notes repeated and then one changing. It's just enough to give it a little bit of a push or a little energy. It's like a little upbeat at the end of every small phrase.
Totally.
And just keeps pushing you along the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's giving the a musical energy to match all the visual chaos going on at the same time. And that's just one of like, what did he say? I looked it up in the catalog. 25 little motivic elements, non-light motivic elements in the entire
you mean in the Battle of
set
Hoth?
piece. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole thing overall, which is insane. And I suppose that gives it the whole like sense of unity across however many cues it is, 4 or 5 cues over 15-20 minutes, like all ties together so seamlessly because there's that continuity through it all. I suppose that things keep coming back.
Yeah, so this is a good opportunity for me to remind listeners that a good resource to cross-reference for this episode is Frank Lehman's complete catalog of the musical themes of Star Wars, particularly the pages. I mean, it's always a good resource, but especially for the Battle of Hoth, there's an entire section dedicated to breaking down just the Battle of Hoth, and toward the end in the non-light motivic themes section. So yeah, you can see a waveform down here, and we talked about it, last week we were doing basically 1B, the cues, 1B, 2, and 3. And so today we'll be doing like 3 to 4. Yeah, you can see the breakdown of all the little themes, and there's letters associated with the different, non-light motivic, because they're not leitmotifs for the whole movie. They're just themes for this set piece. So we'll be referring to letters, and when we are referring to letters, we're just talking about sort of the way that Frank Lehman has broken down this battle, this set piece. So yeah, we have R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. It goes A through Z. It's, oh my gosh, it's so much.
Didn't even realize that. You just go through the whole alphabet and listing everything. Oh my God, thank God there's no more, else he would have just been into some, I don't know, other crazy means of like finding order to everything. And I don't know if are all these motifs like necessarily are they associative in the same way a regular motif would be? Like, do they always repeat alongside certain types of facets of the battle, or is it just more that they're recurring musical ideas without their own like signifying qualities in the film? Like they're not referring to something specifically, but more just part of the musical set piece as a whole.
I feel like a lot of them are associative. Like what you sort of said about the music being a referee, I feel like, well, when we start to get in, like I think some of these are clearly more, like each of these little things have their own vibe to them, like their own character. So,
yeah,
for example, R is a militaristic main theme, closely related to, it's, and S is an angular shrill figure. So
that's true.
A brutal syncopating bass line. So we'll see that in like a more brutal section or whatever. So there are some that are, everything kind of is. These things, even these don't even though it's a set piece theme. Still, I think none of them exist in a vacuum either. They kind of draw from the rest of, his John Williams's score as well, to varying degrees.
Yeah. I know that's actually very true. I suppose there's one that gets repeated. I think we'll hear it in a few seconds. It sounds like, I think I called it like rebel preparation or something in my head, even though it's not necessarily related to them like setting stuff up all the time. But I feel like it comes back in like those type of instances.
Totally.
And there's like little even I don't know if it is a motif, but there's like that little piccolo idea that we've heard at the very start, that really like piercing, shrill piccolo, and just made me think of like just danger. And I don't know if it's necessarily an exact motif that recurs, but more that like the timbre of the piccolo specifically like has this characteristic to the battle. Maybe when something like incredibly dangerous is going to happen, you hear this like really high pitched
like a whistle.
shrieking clash at the top, like a whistle. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
piercing about it. I think it's like 10 seconds in, but it comes back like a couple of times throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's continue listening. Although I think, well, actually, let's start again, but this time we'll talk, we can talk over it.
Okay.
So this is the Dark Side Ostinato.
Yeah.
This is already, that was the piccolo thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Piercing piccolo of danger, I wrote in my notes, just to make it sound extra menacing.
Yeah. And that already is, I feel like we've already done like 3 letters. Okay. I'm going to bring up one more resource that I'm going to refer to quite a bit, and that is, share my screen again. Not this one. Okay. And that is Dominic Sewell's reduction. We were looking at it. He walked us through one of his previous, gosh, I have too many things open in my, oh my God.
Too prepared.
Too prepared. I like that. There we go. Not too scattered, just too prepared. Yeah, his reduction. And let me actually just, okay, so this is for, okay, so go to his YouTube channel, Dominic Sewell Music, and you'll see he has 3M for 4M1, Luke's first crash up, and he does narrate through it, but I need to put this, Dominic Sewell Music. There we go. I want to make sure that people can see.
We're citing our sources.
That it is, yeah, citing our sources, exactly. I share this just because he has labeled according to the same, he is also using Frank Lehman's numberings. And so if you want to see what we are talking about, then you can look at his reduction on his channel. And yeah, oh wait, no. The minutes start right here. There we go. Yeah, with the Dark Side Ostinato. And then the S theme was that shrill thing, which Frank Lehman calls the angular shrill figure vaulting across multiple octaves. And then we have, no, I don't know if we've gotten there yet. Anyway, I guess I'm just throwing out 2 things for people to cross-reference if they would like. Okay, let's get back to listening to stuff.
Cool.
All troops will debark for ground assault. Prepare to target the main generator.
Imperial March, of course.
Rogue 2, are you all right?
Yeah. I'm with you, Rogue Leader.
Well, set harpoon. I'll cover for you.
That's my
It's
in
going
my,
by
my
so
head
fast.
canon. That's the rebel preparation idea in my head. The bum 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 ba-da-dum. I don't know, because it's anticipating something, and it's a bit militaristic in the rhythms, bum 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 bum, and then just that little like turny decorative thing. So it kind of feels a little bit martial, but not quite like full on march yet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The da 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 is what Frank Lehman calls R. That would be the R theme. Yeah.
yeah. And then in my head, we've heard the Imperial March. So that's like 1-0 Imperials for these set of minutes, because they're like getting the advantage now already.
Yeah, we're going to hear the Imperial March a lot during these minutes.
But
we are also going to hear yeah. Go ahead.
Setting up how foreboding it's going to be. Like I don't know how many times it's through the movie. I counted it once before. Is it near 50, 30 or 40 times across the whole film. Probably it's literally everywhere. So I feel like
It's
there's no
many.
better place to get it. Well, it's also, we've never heard it before, I suppose. We know it
Right,
now.
till this movie, yeah.
But like, yeah, back in the 80s. So it's like, okay, now we're getting the context for what this means. He's like preparing our ears for what the theme means. And we're literally placed inside that walker straight away, aren't we? And then we hear the theme. So it's like, okay, definitely cementing it alongside the Imperial perspective.
Yeah, and the Imperial March is the most used leitmotif in this film. So not only is it introduced, it like takes over the film really. And I want to let's take some guesses right now, you and me and listeners. Okay, if the music is a referee, which I'm just going to keep going back to that, and we do hear the Imperial March quite a bit during this battle, at least during these minutes, and we also hear the main theme quite a bit during these minutes. Off the top of your head, which one do you think shows up more?
In these set of minutes, I'd say the Imperial March does more, but I don't know because there's a few like.
Actually, let's count the Rebel
motifs that
fanfare with the main theme. So
yeah,
Imperial
that's what I was
March
thinking.
versus main theme and plus Rebel fanfare.
I'd say Imperial March maybe just
Okay.
has the edge over it, I think. But then also, I'm just adding another twist because we're going to get main theme slightly minory. So is that
I think that still
heroic
counts.
in the same context?
I think it still counts.
It still counts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say I'll give the Imperial March just the edge by maybe one.
Okay. I'm giving the Imperial March the edge too, but I think it might be close.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about R, which was the Okay. So now we'll keep listening. Sorry, I started at the beginning. Let's continue where we picked up from.
Well, set harpoon. I'll cover for you.
So,
Coming around.
Watch that crossfire, boys.
that violin line.
Steady.
Stay tight and low. This is it.
We already passed another one. We passed T, which is the
Oh yeah, it was.
yeah, which is the sort of. I'll share the screen again. T would be this one. This one. Wow.
Very like starts off close and gradually gets wider and wider and wider and it builds up tension. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a simple idea, but it works so well.
Yeah. And as Frank Lehman calls it, intensificatory rising progression. And we'll also kind of hear that in the asteroid field next week. Yeah. Which it's so weird that happened so soon after the Battle of Hoth. In my memory, it happened way later.
I was going to say, is it actually next week? Oh my God, that seems like so far away.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I
I
know,
thought it was like, that must be like minute like 60 or something like that. Whoa.
It's really weird. I'm questioning all that I knew about this film.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in a second. Okay. Well,
Cool.
first let's set the scene. Like, just visually, like what's happening right now is Luke and Zev are sharing a snow speeder, and they're both, they're working together, and let's see, they're trying to harpoon an AT-AT, and as we all know, one of them is not going to survive, and the one that dies is not Luke.
Oh, poor that guy whose name I forgot already.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the comms that are happening though are between two different people. Okay. There's so much happening. It's like okay. You can hear in the sound mixing when they are talking in the cockpit and the camera is local to their cockpit versus when we are hearing their voice from the speaker, from the speaker of the other person's cockpit. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does actually. I never even thought about it like that, but you're hearing their voice in two different ways.
Yeah. So because of that, you can hear when the camera cuts to the different perspective.
Yeah, that's such a. It's obviously such a simple idea, like matching our sonic perspective with our visual perspective as well. But I don't know. It's just again, it's just so much more to put you in their situation. We're not like watching over everything. It's like when we have these little changes in sound design or sound mixing or whatever. It's just further putting us in their perspective.
Yeah, and we just take it for granted because it just feels right. It just feels right.
Yeah, seamless.
So, yeah.
I'm with you, room leader.
We'll set harpoon. I'll cover for you.
Okay, so now
Watch that crossfire, boys.
Set for position.
I love that violin line.
Steady.
It's beautiful.
Tight low.
Okay. So, I love the pianos right here. The pianos. Did you hear the pianos?
I'm not even listening to the pianos. I'm listening to that
I know
super high brass and strings because
Okay.
there's so much going on.
Tell me about
my
the
God.
brass and strings.
Oh, it's just so tense. I'm just getting so tense all of a sudden when like obviously shit's about to go down. The stuff's about to happen. And yeah, I don't know, it's just the clashiness of it is making me like nervous. But what's going on with the piano? I'm not even picking up on that.
The piano is doing this. Let's see, which theme is it? Let's see. Is it you? See, like I told you, there's so many letters that I need to make sure that I'm okay. Well, the
But
piano,
it's
they're
super
going
low in the
do,
bass,
do,
is it?
do,
So it's like
do.
oh,
Okay.
play it again.
I'll play it again.
This is it. I've been hit.
Okay, maybe it'll help if I play it from the soundtrack.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like it gets lost in the chaos of everything, especially if it's a more mid-register sound. I don't know, but I don't think it is actually. I think it's a bit higher than I think it is.
It is pretty high, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me estimate where we are. Here. Did you hear it that time?
Okay. I definitely heard it that time. Yeah. That's not even a sound. I feel like when I'm watching the film, that's just more of a feeling. I don't even know if I'm picking up on any of those individual notes at all, but that's just chaos and dizziness swirling around in my head. I feel like I'm not even appreciating it on a music level because it's just grounding me in the emotions of it so much.
Yeah.
And I'm a piano player, so I feel like I should
you
know
are.
that sound a little bit better. Yeah, I teach piano all the time, so maybe my ear should be more attuned to it. But what's it actually doing? Is it like it's like a really high arpeggio type figure? Is it, or something even more expansive than that? Or like a swirling?
First, let me ask: you do know about the two pianos in this cue? I'm assuming.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. So let me pull up Dom's reduction, so you can visually see, and then I'll play it on my little keyboard that hopefully listeners can hear. Okay. This.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Do you see it?
Yeah, so it's a little. He loves his octatonic scales. Williams does.
He
like
loves his octatonic scales. He loves.
So it's a little. Is it a range of like a fourth or a fifth or something like that? We're just swirling around those, and then we have on top of it. Something bigger. Yeah. Just those little two-note figures. There's again the semitone, like they're super close, and again that makes it kind of. Or is it a semitone?
No,
yeah, it is sometimes.
It's a whole tone.
Oh no, it's not.
I'm trying to think of how you all say a whole tone, a tone. Yeah, a whole step.
Yeah, I just call it a tone.
Or yeah, half step, whole step. For me, the rhythmic element is the part that really stands out. Like, it feels very like skipping or something.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I need to go a little bit. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear a little from before. Oh, wait, no. We haven't gotten here yet. God. Again, when your track is 14 minutes, it's hard to scrub through it accurately.
Fair. That's very, that's...
This is way before.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where we started the minutes. Maybe it is good to have a listen.
Piercing piccolos?
Yeah, the piercing piccolos. Imperial March. That preparation thing again.
Yeah.
Great, great string line. And now, the piano thing. I feel like it sticks out a lot.
It does.
And now we're getting Luke's theme for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the piano thing, I feel like once you hear it, it's hard to unhear it.
I was going to say, now that you've made my brain aware of that, that's all I'm going to like hear.
Yeah.
Now, because it is so prominent, but my ear just wasn't like looking out for it before. But yeah, but it's just again adding to the overall like sense of chaos. Like what the hell's going to happen? Like throwing the kitchen sink literally at everything in this cue just to make us feel so. The dread.
Yeah, I think my notes just say piano's really going for it. I don't know.
Which is true.
It is true.
They were.
And it happens at a moment where Hobby, who is Luke, who is the other person in the cockpit, he has a name, where Luke says, Hobby, I've been hit. Luke has been hit. And we see electricity sort of zap through Luke's cockpit. Like we see the zaps kind of going through. And then this is a shot that I don't actually understand what's happening in this shot. And I don't know if you or anyone listening can elucidate this for me. We see this shot of like their speeder going down and we see like a head bobbling around. Is that head meant to be Luke's or is it meant to be Hobby's?
I always assumed it was Luke's, but I don't, yeah, it's probably not clear. Maybe I'm just assuming it's Luke, like, just getting thrown about, but it would make more sense if it was Hobby because he's dead, so he's obviously not in as much control of his body.
I had the same thought process as you, but the thing is, like, it looks like the POV it looks like we're going down, and when they crash, it looks like Luke is the one, like, it looks like Hobby is kind of facing up and Luke is kind of facing down. So I thought it was Hobby because Hobby's dead, but the perspective looks like it should be Luke. I don't know.
Irvin Kershner, intentional shot just to make us feel the chaos even more. You're supposed to be confused because Luke is also confused.
There we go.
That's
Okay.
your explanation.
Okay, we'll go with that for now. So as we continue, we're, by the way, on the soundtrack, if you have the special edition or one of those very long versions, this is Battle of Hoth, Ion Cannon / Imperial Walkers / Beneath the, and then the title track cuts off. And we're at about 9:16 of that track. But if we go back to the set of minutes, we are at about 1 minute into the minutes. About a minute, a minute 05 into the minutes is when Luke's theme shows up. But let's hear how it shows up. little
it's
bit.
extra minor. That's what I wrote down. I think it might be Phrygian or something like that. We definitely have lots of lowered tones. I don't know. Should I have used the word Phrygian? That's probably a bit of a weird word for people.
It's Locrian, but
oh, it's Locrian.
I always get the modes mixed up. But here we go. This is Dom's reduction. You can see it written out with the G, D, C, B flat, A flat,
Oh yeah.
G, D. It's very nice. And I also want to draw attention to this part down here that I've circled, where we have the woodwinds are dovetailing, or we have this 16th note passage. And I know these look like eighth notes, but when you see a slash in the eighth notes, that means you double it. Yeah. For those, the notes look like this, which are usually eighth notes, but when you see slashes, I'm just writing it bigger for people watching. When you see slashes, that just means do it twice. So this equals
super
this.
fast.
Yeah. It's just a way to save space, and it makes it easier to read. So let's listen to that part, which is happening at the same time as Luke's theme. Remember last week we talked about how to read a score. So everything vertically is happening at the same time. Okay. Okay. We're hearing. So you're going to hear an ascending line at the pace of digga 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 digga. Okay. There you go. It's just in the background. It's not the main thing, but each layer of texture like really adds to something greater than just, oh, here's the theme, drop in the theme. Let's drop in another theme.
Yeah. There's so much more going on, and it's often the stuff that's going around the theme that helps us understand its color or its like intent or how it's like relating to the narrative more than just playing it on its own singly. Like it's just giving extra shades. I don't know. I even think the rising nature of like that passage is helping us like look up. That's where the AT-AT is. The AT-AT. It's like so far above us. Luke's down here, and then the colors around it are. Like,
that's a great point.
Making us aware of how small it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that does happen in a lot of scores, or it is like I guess a scoring technique to either go like ooh or go down when you're like your eye is being drawn down to something. And here, the AT-ATs are so big, and we are hearing them as well here.
Yes.
Like, what a mechanical sound! Like, wow. I can really hear the dumpster in that.
Yeah.
It's
just so I don't know, so mechanical. Like you can, there's no naturalness about that sound, like at all. And I know that's probably another like meta theme going on in Star Wars as a whole. Like the Rebels more like living in the forest in Yavin or in the snow, living in nature, and the Empire with all that everything that's mechanical or that's like industrial, and the sounds are kind of matching that completely. Like you don't see the Empire riding around on tauntauns, like making the most of nature. They're the ones colonizing and taking over, and the sounds kind of equally part of that.
What this sound reminds me of is the trash compactor, and maybe it's just because I'm thinking of trash cans now, but the trash compactor from A New Hope, which I believe also used dumpster sounds.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting.
And even like the music here is like slowing the tempo right down as well. It's like everything just feels like it's plodding all of a sudden, like we're moving that slow march like with the AT-AT, whereas before we were having this whirling this quarter notes of the semiquavers, and then everything's just like slowing down so much again.
Yeah.
As we're watching it like move.
Let's continue. I feel like we should listen to this without just the soundtrack version now, just because
Yeah,
there's so
please.
much detail that we're kind of missing. Okay, so we were at 9:16 before, so now, okay, 9, okay. So the pianos.
Yeah.
So that bass line, do, do, the, you know, the do, that thing. I can't sing that low.
It's super low.
This, yeah. Do. That is the U theme, FYI. Brutal syncopated bass line and corresponding chromatic activity above. We're in the...
And the bass line for me is the footsteps. It's the vroom. It's
Yes.
like every time we hear that, that's like, again, the aural equivalent to what we're seeing, giving that like that weightiness
Totally.
to the sound.
Yes. So this is the V theme. Main theme, of course. So right now it's 1 point to Empire and 2 to Rebels, right?
Oh yeah, we got the Luke theme, and now we're getting it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've only heard Imperial March once, right?
Once. Yeah. Are you actually keeping score? Oh no.
I wasn't going to, but now that I tried to bring it up, I was like, maybe I should.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's correct for you. And is this the statement of the theme that's a bit? Can you play it again? Just that main theme?
Yeah.
If it's what I'm recalling.
Okay, it's in a second.
So it's like two main themes going on at once.
Yeah,
It's like we're getting it.
It's in a canon.
It's nearly, yeah, it's canon. Yeah, it's not. I was going to say fugue. Yeah, it's just a canon. It's like direct repetition of it, like one after the other. I don't know. Do we get that anywhere else across the series?
Well, since I haven't gone through all the movies in as much detail yet, I can't say for sure. But I don't. But
nothing
it's
springs to mind though.
I definitely don't remember that in A New Hope. So, what's happening on screen at the moment during the canon, the main theme canon, sort of like a round, is this is during Han and Leia's. Like Han is entering the Rebel Base Command Center, and he says, "You all right?" And Leia's like, "Why are you still here?" Visually, this scene is really interesting. It looks so stark. It's so despondent almost. So Han's like, heard the command center had been hit. Leia's like, "You got your clearance to leave." Anyway, the point is, it's another tense Han and Leia moment, and I take the canon, the layering of the main theme to kind of represent the little dance that Han and Leia are doing with each other at this point.
Oh yeah, like there's two versions of the theme, and that there's the two of them, so you could have like one.
Or like they're kind of talking, but like missing each, like the kind of repartee type of thing. The kind of
Nice. I just thought it more just boringly that it was just main theme, something heroic is happening. Oh yeah, Han's coming in to help get Leia out. Like, so that was my simplistic interpretation. But that's
I think that's the correct I think that is right as well. I think, yeah. But
they're both happening at once.
The canon aspect of it specifically, I think, is the part that is appropriate for the two of them together. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. The two voices. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear that. Go a little bit earlier so you can hear Luke narrowly escaping being squashed. No, a little bit earlier. Okay. So Han is entering.
You all right?
Why are you still here?
The command center's been hit.
You got your clearance to leave.
And all this
First I'm gonna get
All this music is happening while they're arguing.
Take this last transport. It's our only hope.
Send all troops from Sector 12 to the south slope to protect the fighter.
Imperial troops have entered the base.
So even their dialogue
Just
is
chaos, hectic.
Yeah, very hectic.
I like that. There's that cool like those brass chords descending at the end of it. The bam, 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 bam. I don't know. That's just
I
a
love
nice.
those.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about them, but there's just a lovely color to that. I don't know what. It's just filling in the texture. Like it's just like adding more like musical detail to the overall like scenario. But it's just something that really catches my ear every time I listen to it.
I couldn't. Same with me. Let's hear it again in case people missed it.
12 to the south slope to protect the fighter.
Imperial troops have entered the base. Imperial troops have entered.
Come on, that's it.
Give the evacuation code signal.
Wait, it happened already?
And get to your transports.
No. Did it already happen?
Yeah, I think we skipped it.
Okay.
We missed it.
Sorry, didn't start early enough.
Back
Oh
about-
my gosh, everything goes by so quickly.
What?
First I'm gonna get
20 seconds back.
Your
Here we go.
Highness, we must
There we go.
take this last
That was it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to hear. Maybe one of the reasons it sticks out is because it's more diatonic sounding. It's more straight up, it's like two G minor. It's like G minor chords.
Okay, true. Yeah, it's more, just conventional.
Yeah.
I just put the sonority of the trumpets. Is all trumpets like tightly doing a chord together as well? So I feel like that, or maybe the horns as
True.
well underneath them.
It's something
Just
brass.
that,
It's brassy.
yeah, that collectivity of them all together is something we're not used to in the queue so far, anyway. Maybe that's why it kind of sticks out. Because
The close voicing I think that you're referring to is something I associate with the Rebel fanfares, with the Rebel fanfare.
absolutely, yeah, because they're just those tight major chords
Yeah.
really close together. So,
And maybe
maybe it's like
maybe there is, I don't know.
some little connection.
So this is from the soundtrack, so we can actually hear it. Okay. This is the main theme in a canon. The pianos stick out so much. There we go.
It's not even rhythmically interesting.
I know,
just
it's quarter notes.
Bum. Yeah.
But
There's
maybe
something
that's why
so-
it's rhythmically interesting, because in contrast, it just
yeah.
sticks out. Like in the rest of the score,
Yeah.
there's so much syncopation. There's so much, it really cuts through.
Yeah,
It makes a very clear statement.
Exactly. That's probably why it stands out as well. Yeah. But again, just master of just color and just when you think you know what is happening in the soundtrack, like you're getting to grips with everything, and then there's just an alternate texture, alternate sound, like just to add more variety so it doesn't get boring.
Yeah, and it is not something. It's unexpected. It is quite unexpected for the score at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
We'll keep listening. There we go, again. All right. The main theme. And a pretty interesting,
Slightly twisted.
yeah, and it goes into the Force theme. Okay, we have to stop there because we're about to get to an interesting
A big
chord
change.
thing. But yeah, what do you think of all that we just heard?
I love the main theme. It starts off the normal way, but then it just slightly leaps higher just afterwards to lead into the Force theme. So it's kind of a different take on it. It sounds, I think strident was the word that came to my mind. Like it sounds like it's leaping further for something than it's leaped before. We kind of get that big octave jump rather than, I think it's a seventh normally that happens like at the end of the phrase or whatever. So it feels even more
Do you mean the Force theme?
yearning. I don't know. But
The
What did I say?
strident thing.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right.
That's funny because that's literally what I wrote in my notes too.
You said strident as well. That's
Yeah.
very weird.
Yeah, it
Oh my
just was
God.
like definitely the mood, definitely like the very first word that came to my mind was like a very strident sounding Force theme.
Yeah. And even the rhythms are, I don't know, the long notes are longer than they are normally, and I don't know, there's like like an emphatic oh, I can't say that word, militaristic quality to it. Just it's da, 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 da. They don't care about the notes in between the long notes. They just want to get like rid of them as quick as they can.
Wait, what do you mean by the notes between the long notes?
Like they'd normally be like quaver notes, or normally like a little, I don't know, like passing notes, but I don't know. They feel like they're just thrown away with.
Oh, you mean the like
sense.
triplets? You mean how it's like?
They just hurry on through them.
Oh, well, let's listen again.
Yeah. They feel quicker than normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's it slows down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the emphasis, it's definitely like the long notes are most important, and the little filler.
Yeah. Makes it sound more, I don't know, strident. Let's stick with that word.
Yeah.
I actually was wondering that why Force theme here? That's what I was thinking about when I was like, because they're running away, they're fleeing. I'm like, but why? Why use Force theme? What was the reason? I couldn't think of a good one. But like maybe they're trying to save themselves. Like, what? Why the Force theme here?
Maybe it's
like another.
Maybe it's like good luck or something. Like, may the Force be with us.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, well then this is, if we're going with the sports metaphor, that's the commentator then. That's Williams commenting on it. Like, oh, good luck, guys. Here's the Force theme, just to wish you well on your way.
Well, I'm going to count that as a point for the Rebels.
Fair.
So
yeah, absolutely.
At this point, we have 1 point Imperials, 4 points Rebels. So
I have a feeling the Imperials are going to make. Why am I sticking with the sports metaphor?
Connor.
They're going to score lots near the end. I have a feeling.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Tides will change.
Yeah, like another reason the Force theme I think sounds strident and militaristic here is because we are hearing it in such a steady tempo that is marked by subdivisions in other instruments, like a metronome. Like the other like it's not one of those things where it's like sustain and then an instrument does a solo of the Force theme, where it feels more flexible and, free, some rubato.
Yeah. We have the violins are doing that. They're just ascending the whole time, doing those little semitone drops. Did Frank have a name for that as well? I think he did, didn't he?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Is that the V theme? I think.
I think it maybe was.
Oh wait, no. Yeah.
I
think it is. Anxious motif treated as quasi ostinato.
Yeah.
No, that's the preparation thing. What do you mean by the violin thing? Let's maybe play it again so you can point that out.
Yeah, listen to the theme again, the Force theme.
Oh.
It's like little.
Oh, I love it.
They're descending but ascending at the same time. It's like little semitone drops, and then do it again. A few notes higher, few notes higher. Beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So it feels like an elegy. It feels like it's mourning something.
Yeah.
About to happen. Oh, my headphones are gone.
Sorry if you just heard a quick bump in the audio. We had to pause. There was an audio thing. Okay, we're back. Okay, so you're saying like elegiac, the Force theme.
Yeah, just anything high violins, it just pulls at your heartstrings. Especially, I think they're in octaves there. They're stretched out, so we're just getting like the full range of maybe it's violin 1, violin 2. Maybe they're an octave apart or something like that. It feels
it's stacked amongst violins, viola. And there's a few different notes being played as well. So it's like, it's like they're moving in thirds, but also in octaves. So like octaves and tenths, and it's stacked, which is, sort of a thing in a lot of Williams orchestration, the way that things are sort of stacked and octavized. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word.
Makes sense to me.
But it's also not only the fact that the strings are high, I think it's also the slurred nature.
Yes. The slurred
Yeah.
two note, like da 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 da. Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Somebody said to me once in university that just that a slurred, like just two notes going down is like a sigh. It's like, oh, it feels like you're sighing all the time, and gives it that kind of downtrodden character, which is weird because we have this strident force theme going on at the same time. So it's like we've these two, the tragedy and the anxiety and the desire to escape, like happening at the same time in the music, kind of scoring both sides of the battle.
Yeah, it adds, it makes the appearance of the force theme not just one simple emotion.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
something with a lot of different emotional undercurrents. It's not like yay battle, all just military confidence, whatever. It's sort of like battle, and there's like
more nuanced
tragedy, but there's also like sort of the discipline, but there's also there's a lot going. It's such a, details like this are
only
just
Williams.
So nice.
Yeah,
very good. Okay.
That Williams, he knows what he's doing. He's a clever guy.
Yeah, it really like gets you emotionally on different levels. And I feel that way, like, when watching a good movie or show, when you see something happen on screen and you're like, oh, yay, but that's bittersweet. Like, you have to earn those moments where you feel multiple things for something happening at once. And the music can really contribute to that, as it is here.
It's hard to, well, I suppose a really talented actor you'd be able to see like multiple expressions or multiple like emotions going on at once. But in music, I don't know. It's equally complex to do, but I feel like when we have these orchestral subdivisions that we can use to tell different things at the same time and combine in unique and interesting ways, like that just makes the music all the more powerful, I think.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the things about a battle scene that is difficult to convey emotionally is that you aren't necessarily having those close-ups on an actor's dialogue. The actors aren't, this isn't a moment for them to even have, like the actors can't do that work here because you're having to see the battle. You're having to see exterior shots of things firing. You're having to see like yelling and running and action. So the actors can't do that work.
Very true. So the music is like, apart from the context, we know bad things are happening, but the music is really delivering the emotion because we don't have those Luke crying single tear like close-ups that we can spend a minute on just to be like, oh no, we are losing. The music can tell us that instead.
Yeah. Or they're in trouble. Okay, so we're about to get to.
Or are they?
We're about to get to this part that I want to run by you. Okay, we backtracked a little to get into it, but I'll let it keep playing this time. This is the main theme, force theme. Strings are so good. Okay, right here. Sorry, right here. Oh my gosh, that's such a fantastic part.
Yeah. They're winning, maybe, question mark? That's what it sounds like.
It does sound like it, right? Okay, a lot just happened. Okay, so we had the force theme, and it did keep developing, right? So it was
The second phrase, didn't we?
Yeah. Wait. Oh, wait. What did you say?
Did we get the second phrase then? We get a full version of the fourth theme, don't we? We get
Yeah.
that second bit as well.
Yeah. Wait. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It feels like, was a part cut out in the movie?
But I feel like
Okay. Because I feel like I just heard a little bit more material. Okay. We have to go back to the movie. We have to go back.
Okay.
This might be a. Okay. Not a. Always discovering new cuts that are happening. Okay. So this is, I know this is about 2:20 into the minutes. 2:20. Okay. Oh, just kidding. Don't worry about my conspiracy. Okay. Yeah. So that the full statement of the theme. That's what you mean. It's not just. It doesn't do the descending part though. But
no.
But yeah. Okay. The way that it does that, it reminds me. Well, first, there's a very obvious sort of chord thing happening, and I think that is maybe what I don't know. Maybe that's what makes it sound heroic there. Right, so we're in G minor, and it goes down to an E flat major.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
It sticks out to
A
me
little bit
so
of hope,
much.
a little bit of brightness. Yeah.
And rhythmically, it feels like, I'll play it again, it feels like the brass are doing this fanfare thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Fourth theme. Okay. E flat major. Right? You know,
Yeah, it gives a bit of a lift. And then at the end of the fourth theme as well, there's like that little snare rattle or something. Or there's some
that's like
pushy thing going on again. Yeah, so that's like feeding into the fanfare.
Yeah.
Kind of
it is sort of like
nature of it
noisemakers
all.
going.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah, so
because it's what's happening here at Luke's has he? Oh no, that hasn't happened yet. Actually,
well, it does sound yeah. What's happened? It's before. Well, this is before the Walker crashes, but it's like while that is in process.
Yeah.
So when the force theme, when the force theme begins in its strident manner, is when the officer is saying, "Begin retreat, fall back,"
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah. And just continues over that.
So the thing that this reminds me of, you know, okay, that reminds me of Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4, opening of it. I'm gonna play some of it, which it's a very heroic opening, but it does a similar kind of going down to the major six thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the symphony?
I haven't listened to it in a while now. Do you have an example?
Oh, I'm about to play it. Yeah.
Oh, super.
Yeah. But I have this, like Tchaikovsky, I feel like Tchaikovsky isn't talked about as much in terms of the inspiration Williams draws from, but I feel like I hear a Tchaikovsky all the time in these scores. So I'm always shouting out the parts that give me the Tchaikovsky feeling. So already we're like, you know, right there. Anyway, I really like this symphony.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we hear that happening in the Battle of Hoth, I'm like, oh, Tchaikovsky. But
the harmonic thing, or just the whole fanfare-ish, like
the whole thing.
quality at the end. The whole
I think
thing,
the whole
yeah.
thing. Well, when I get like a spidey sense about something, it's usually not necessarily one thing, and usually I can't tell what it is off the bat. I'm just like, whatever is encoded in my brain cells of a certain piece, it's like something else gets mapped to it, and it's like I don't know, getting philosophical for a second. I think humans tend to recognize when something is a match in their mind faster than they can logically piece out what is similar about them.
I was literally having this conversation with someone the other day.
Really?
And that's what this is what vibes are. When people say, oh, it gives me this vibe, like they can't pinpoint exactly what it is that makes them remind something, but it's the general feeling of Tchaikovsky. So William's giving us the Tchaikovsky vibes here, to use a terribly unacademic word.
Yeah,
but one that just people like to use all the time.
Yeah.
It's the Tchaikovsky vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Episode name question mark Tchaikovsky
vibes. and oftentimes those vibes, while they are not on their own, vibes by themselves are not enough to prove anything. No. You know, that in itself is not that's not the whole research paper, right? Not just based on vibes.
Yeah.
But vibes, I think, give us the hint as to what directions to look in.
Exactly, yeah. They're not the answer, but they're like the roadmap to where you
they're
want
the
to
spark,
go.
they're the inspiration. Yeah, because sometimes I feel like, you know, reading music analysis or things, it can feel like, how did that person even think to compare these things? Like, what made them interested in those things? And oftentimes it is sparked by this sort of bottom-up feeling of like just getting a vibe somewhere and then noticing vibes in a few places and then thinking, okay, I'm going to look into this vibe a little bit more.
Definitely overuse the word now. It's going to lose all meaning later on. But yeah, no, exactly. I see what you mean. Then it's not any one thing in particular. It's just the general nature of it that kind of gives you that Tchaikovsky feeling.
Yeah, but then I can hypothesize what the reasons are, and like I think it is that chord. I think it is that chord change. Yeah. Like I think it is that chord thing, and probably the fact that it's both, you know, brass timbres. I think that helps too. But yeah, it's something in going down to the, you know, something in the way that it feels like the theme that is being played. It feels like it's being separated. It's like the theme keeps going up, and the chords go to a place down. I feel it inside. It feels kind of like it's being stretched out. I don't know, it's like a stretchy feeling.
No, I get that.
Yeah. Okay, so
Tchaikovsky stretchiness.
I got to do my Shostakovich propaganda. And as it's, okay, so going back to the Battle of Hoth, as it's exiting the Tchaikovsky moment, sorry, I said Shostakovich. I meant to say
Tchaikovsky. You did say Shostakovich, yeah.
Shostakovich is another one that you know, but is talked about a lot with Star Wars. And Shostakovich is for sure. We won't go there. But it seems to exit that moment by doing almost like a Rebel fanfare-esque thing. Yeah.
Well, it kind of leads into it. It's kind of maybe hinting at where the music's going to go, because we do get Rebel fanfare-ish moments in a second.
Yeah. So it goes...
Given that air of victory.
Right? It's not quite the fanfare, but here it is the fanfare.
Here it is.
There you go. This is very triumphant sounding. I don't know. I think we're going to win.
Oh.
I think we're going to win.
Yeah, well, that's what it's sounding like. It's like, oh, they scored a hat trick. I don't know, something sporty happened there, but it's all super like just major, general like rebel fanfare. Everything's major. It's all brass, it's all trumpety, it's all bright. So it couldn't
It's
be more
all the
heroic if it
leaps.
tried.
It's the heroic leaps and everything. And the way that it exit,
Yeah.
it also reminds me of the swashbucklers cue from A New Hope when around there, the do 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 do, like which
Oh
is
yeah, that
which recalls like Robin, which recalls like Korngold. It's sort of like
yeah.
evoking that here.
It's like nearly old school Hollywood kind of
Yeah,
like
exactly.
peak heroism kind of like thing, which I feel like, I don't know if people talk about Williams's references. Like, I feel like when people talk about Williams' references in relation to the original trilogy, it's all A New Hope, because that's where it's most obvious. This is the bit that sounds like Stravinsky. This is the Holst bit. This is the Dvorak bit. But I feel like maybe we don't, or generally maybe in analysis overall, I feel like there's not as much attention given to those influences and references outside of A New Hope. Certainly in the foundations of like that type of analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that Korngoldy comparison. It's apt.
Yeah. Maybe it's because Empire Strikes Back does that too a little bit, but does different things as well.
Yeah, it's not as on the surface as well because there's so much else going on, I think, at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Let's listen to that in the film and keep going. Much shooting. Lightsaber. So, very triumphant. And big explosion, big explosion. So here's where the walker crashes.
Another little fanfare.
Yeah. And right on the heels of that is the Imperial March.
Yeah, point to Empire. But it immediately undercuts that sense of victory. We get that celebration. Yay, they're winning. Then bam, nope, they're still here. We still have this menacing march, like lingering over everything. So just when you think it's going to go one way, the music's telling you it's going another. Again, referee commentating, point.
Yeah, okay. At the end, okay, when we're done going through the minutes, I want to talk about perceptions of who is the winner in this battle.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here, obviously, we hear the Imperial March, and it's very fast.
Yeah.
And then it's again.
Distance to power generators.
17.28.
It's kind of doing, it's doing like the Imperial March fast, but then it's kind of, it hangs for a few measures while, the strings and other things are kind of doing interstitial material. And then it's kind of, like the phrase is fragmented.
And then he develops it. So I think in literally the next couple of seconds, like the ending just spins out.
Yeah. Oops, I just cut it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Target.
Yeah, right there.
Firepower.
Yeah.
Such a fun little just Scherzo-esque quality to like the end of it. It's just so, I don't know, playful feels like the wrong word in the context, but I don't know, it's just kind of,
it is kind of
like spinning out the end of it in a weird way. William's maniacally laughing over everything.
Yeah, there is kind of a scherzo like quality.
Yeah, the rhythms of it or something. I don't know what it is. But then the cue ends, so like that's the end of 4M1, isn't it? There, like it's the end of the first cue. I feel like it's such a
pretty
boom,
much
like like Tootie marking the ending. Like here you go, that's the end of that instance. Now you're on to like part 2 or whatever.
Yes. So scherzo is sort of a musical Italian word that is sort of like joke or play, or like scherzando means like jokingly or playfully or something like that. So a scherzo would be music that has that mood, the mood of joking, playing, playful.
And Williams challenge channels it often. What didn't he have the scherzo for X-Wings in Force Awakens? And then
yeah. Scherzo for motorcycle and orchestra.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a fan.
He's a fan
He
of the
likes an old
scherzo. Yeah, he does. Yeah, so that's the end of the cue for one, Luke's first crash, and it goes directly into the next cue, which is called The Rebels Escape Again, which is 4M2. So if we just keep playing, I'll tell you, this is when Han is. We're cutting from the Imperial side to back to the Rebel side. So let's hear that. Dramatic scream. Whoa, you went like this.
That's my Harry Pottery
Oh,
connection.
okay, great.
Feel that I'd never heard it before, but when I was listening to these minutes in a bit more detail, I was like, that kind of vague. I don't know if it's notes. I think it's more of a rhythmic grouping thing, and maybe in the context of Han and Leia like running around the place. But it really reminded me of the first Harry Potter movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a clip ready for that since you sent it to me. I also want to draw attention to the string line, which is has a very interesting rhythmic pulse with like with the chromatic elements. Actually, let's switch back to the to the version without sound effects. Yeah. So. Okay, we're backtracking a little bit. That's all right. No, actually, let's skip forward just in case of copyright.
That's it. A good minute ago. Oh yeah, true.
Okay. So we're winning. One would think. The walker is crashing. Is this in the... Imperial March. Distance to power generators. Target maximum firepower. So we're in the cockpit of Veers's Snowwalker. And this is the next cue now. Okay. Well, right here. Interspersed with those muted trumpet stabs. It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, talk to me about Harry Potter.
Well, that I should say, if we're going along with Frank's thing, that's figure X, I think.
Oh, yes.
Persistent
Thank you.
chugging chromatic string texture. But I feel like it's I don't know, in the Star Wars when it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's kind of a 3 versus 2 type thing. And I feel like in the Harry Potter, I don't know if it's 3 versus 2, it's more 3 versus 4 or something like that. And it's just, I don't even know if it's in a strange time signature or something like that, but it's just that energy being pushed along. And I think it's the low string nature of it as well. It just reminds me of it a little bit. I don't know if it's a really deep connection. It's the vibe.
You got a vibe.
Harry Potter vibe.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to play from Running to McGonagall from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's / Sorcerer's Stone.
Oh.
Yeah. Totally. It's like it's hard. It's hard to hum. It's like.
Oh, you can't. I tried.
Yeah.
But,
it's like.
It's just that slightly. It's not really off kilter, but again, there's just that. It's not, or is it? It's not even syncopated either. But there's just some funny rhythmic little quirk going on that just gives it that energy. And when it's accompanying sets of people running. I feel like it's just a good pushing along the energy with them.
Yeah, and the also the chromatic nature of it as well.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of like spiky notes in there.
Yeah, William. I think. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Again, just
that's a
thinking
good.
about, like, uncertain quality.
That is a really good connection. Actually, let's hear that again. This is from Harry Potter. Yeah, there is. I think. Okay, now let's compare it back to Battle of Hoth. I went too far. Just keep it playing. Well, even this, which is part of the previous cue.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're related. It's probably higher here and slower later on, maybe that's why I made the connection at the later point.
Yeah, I think the later part is more. Well, we're about to get there. Okay, so we're about to.
For M2.
Here. Yep. Yeah. And there's like some rest.
And again, it's just like a filler type texture thing going on, but I don't know, it's like just, it's not wasted. It's still conveying like the essence of the scene and that kind of fleeing quality, I suppose.
It is not wasted.
No.
I'm gonna keep
not
it,
on us, not here.
Well, I'm gonna keep it playing because then an interesting theme pops in. So this is while Han is saying, "Transport, this is Solo. Take off. I can't get to you. I'll get her out of the Falcon. Come on." And in the background,
And we got a little hint of the love theme.
It happened so quickly, but I'll play it again. Very, very brief Leia's theme.
Oh, it is. Sorry, it is Leia's theme, not the love theme. Yeah, yeah. Well, Leia's theme is a love theme, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Messy area.
It is a messy area. It is a messy area. But I think the fact that Leia's theme was put in here, I'm not going to say accidentally, like that John Williams forgot that there's a separate Han and Leia theme, because this is happening sort of when in a brief Han Leia moment, and one would think that you would drop in a hint of the Han and Leia theme, but it's just the Leia theme, but there is so much gray area between the themes. Connor, this is a good segue for you to talk about, to tell us more about that. You've written a paper about Williams' love themes in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and you also cite you cite other people who have written stuff. I can't remember who coined the acronym, the FRC.
Feminine Romantic Cliche.
Yeah.
I messed that up. I think it's Rebecca. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Fulop, Fulop.
Okay.
So it's basically
Feminine Romantic Cliche.
Feminine Romantic Cliche, just a device like in old Hollywood, just for scoring female characters, female presenting characters in general, just not as autonomous characters in their own right, which might have their own like unique heroic theme to them, rather that they're just scored by being musically painted as a generic love interest, maybe with like lush string themes or woodwind themes and kind of maybe Tchaikovsky type harmonies to give it that kind of romantic character to it. And then in that paper I kind of argue that Williams kind of paints the villain of that Indiana Jones movie, kind of the musical characterization is kind of love interest-esque, because it's this sexy film noir style theme which kind of has a whole gendered coding to it in general. But then she's not that at all. She's in no way love interest. And I feel like Leia's she's obviously more of a love interest for Luke and Han, but I feel like the theme represents maybe their affection for her or the potentials of a romantic relationship rather than I don't know, like just Leia is so much more a complex character than I think that theme gives her credit for.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Your audio just cut out.
yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, so the theme, like it paints her as this like love interest character, but obviously she's more than that. But at the same time, like it's such a gorgeous theme, which I do love in its own right. But then it's interesting the way it appears here. She's literally on the ground. She has fallen over, and Han is up trying to like find an escape route. So she's literally looking up at him in this heroic figure. Just the staging of it. I don't think there's any intentionality maybe going on in like well, there probably is some idea of the gender dynamics going on, like being painted in a specific light, but I feel like that staging in combination with this like romantically coded theme kind of, it's just a feminine romantic cliche, to go back to that term again.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
know if I explained that right at all.
Yeah. So do you think Leia's theme, do you like Leia's theme? Not a good question, but like.
I adore Leia's theme.
Okay. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
I think it was on the Art of the Score podcast. I think they were talking about the Raiders of the Lost Ark music, and they called the Marion theme in that. I think Dan Golding, he didn't call it the Marion theme, he called it the thinking of Marion theme. So it's not actually about her.
Yeah.
It's about what Indiana Jones thinks of her. And
Totally.
I feel like you could definitely
the
read the
thing
love
about
themes
Leia.
in a similar context.
Totally. Yeah. And I think the same about just Leia's theme proper, just Leia's theme, because when we hear it in A New Hope, when Luke is seeing her in the hologram, and it's the thinking about Leia.
Yeah. What does he say?
She's like, oh
His
my gosh,
first
she's this
words are,
princess in this hologram. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
yeah. Who is she? She's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's literally his first words. So like, wonder what this theme's about. But then they're just great themes as well. I think it's my favorite theme Williams has ever written. Makes me cry. Like just especially the concert suite solo of it from A New Hope is just gorgeous violin writing.
Yeah,
Oof.
totally.
Crying just thinking about it. But yeah, just such a fleeting moment in Empire Strikes Back. Like literally, what, 10 seconds, if even, and it's
less
so
than that.
hurried
Oh my
and
gosh.
rushed.
Yeah, it's just really just squeezed in there.
Yeah,
Which, I think
read into it.
it's nice that it's not like lingered upon. It is really, it really fits into the rest of the score that's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't sacrifice the lush lyrical nature of the theme generally. That's kind of sacrificed here, and it's just kind of hurried along just to keep up with the pace in the scene. So it's not like we're stopping and there's a big cart around Han Solo and they say,
Yeah.
I love this guy or whatever. It's still like in keeping with the whole tone of everything. And probably Williams just put it there as filler just for a second. Like, okay, we have this chill moment for a second. So it's like, oh, we can stick the Leia theme in here like really neatly for a second. I don't think there's any malicious intent behind it at all.
There's definitely not malicious intent. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes to your paper if people want to read it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So these violin chugging. Imperial March. And in the film, you can hear Vader's breathing as well.
Yeah.
Threepio's like, wait for me. What were you saying?
Those cool bass hits at the end of the theme as well. There's just a little percussion like accompaniment going on at the end. I don't know if it's bass or timpani or something like that, but I just hear it. I think it's matching the theme precisely at the end.
Oh yeah. Yep, on the
Symphony,
do,
maybe?
do.
Yeah. Just adding extra weight. And again, we've never heard the Imperial March before this movie before in 1980. So I think it's related to Darth Vader. It's just setting up that whole.
Oh yeah. Well, they introduce him with his. Yeah. Well, obviously Vader enters and his breathing as well. So the breathing, I think, combined with the march is like a I don't know. And the visual evader is like a trifecta of like burning it into your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just so dominant in the mix compared to everything else. We had all these different textures going on and things conflicting with each other, but now everything is entirely focused on bum, 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 ba-dum, just to make us feel that power.
Yeah. Yeah.
more.
Yeah. It
To
takes
put words in her
over.
name.
Yeah. It takes,
Yeah.
it's very omnipresent. Yeah.
Ominous. Yeah. Both.
Both. Yeah. Oh, hurry up, Goldenrod. You're going to be permanent resident.
Nice little brass right in there as well.
Yeah.
Piercing piccolo returns.
Yes. Imperial March again.
With the strings with it now.
Yes.
At that moment there,
Yeah.
when the Imperial March drops out into the strings, that in my head combines so well with the sound of the them trying to turn on the Falcon and the engine kind of failing sound. I don't know. I feel like there's some. I don't know if the sound of the Falcon engine like not working is like tuned to like fit in with the music, but I don't know. They seem like so linked in my mind. Maybe it's because just obviously they're happening together, but I feel like, or something about the syncing of it, they just line up in a really, really interesting way. And I'm dying to know if you know what that engine sound is, because it just sounds so cool. It's just such a distinctive.
I'll see if I have it in my notes, but let's hear it in context because it makes such a the vroomy ramping up sound is very. It's very striking. It's very striking.
You're gonna be a permanent resident. Wait.
That thing. That's not the Millennium Falcon, or it's many things. There's the vroom, and then there's the hiss that is hitting Chewie.
Yeah, sorry.
But the vroomy thing, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but it just sounds, it's just a great sound.
It's a very great sound.
Yeah.
And it's
like you don't like we don't need to know what it is. You can just interpret what that sounds like just based on it. It just sounds like something trying to fail. Like it's just so distinct, but also doesn't really sound like something.
It sounds like a car starting up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear that again.
Twisted.
How's this?
Would it help if I got out and pushed?
Captain Turner. Captain
Oh,
Turner.
it's a little bit before. It's a little bit before.
I love that line as well. Would it help if I got out and pushed? I just had a good old giggle to myself later on. Like, do they have cars that they can get out and push, or can they push speeders if they're not working?
That is a good question. That is a good point. When people bring up like things from Earth that accidentally made it into Star Wars, the push thing is a huge one.
It feels like an Earthbound joke, but oh my god, it
works.
So funny. Yeah.
I mean,
and again, it's just such a nice insight into their relationship, and Carrie Fisher's delivery of it is just, I don't know, pitch perfect. She can't put a foot wrong. And then his reply, it might, like, he's just playing the game with her. Like, he's not like shutting her down or just like laughing at her. There's like, I don't know, that short bit of dialogue, like you can just interpret so much. He's another win.
Meanwhile, I do have it in my notes about the Falcon, by the way, but
Super.
the part of the dialogue that I was gravitated toward in that part is how Threepio says Captain Solo twice in a row. Captain Solo, Captain Solo. I don't know why, but it's so funny. Let's hear it again.
How's this?
Would it help if I got out and pushed?
Captain Turner. Captain Turner.
Do you know what it is?
Might
It
just be a
actually
me
doesn't. No, I agree, but it doesn't sound like he says it twice. It sounds like he says it once and they repeated it.
I know. I think that's why it sounds funny.
Yeah,
it kind of works knowing that he's a droid. That maybe it could have. It feels like it is. You're right. Like I totally think it feels like it's been recorded once
Copy and
and just
pasted.
put in there twice. I don't know if it's on purpose
Yeah.
or not, but it has that uncanny sound that I think I I just pick up on.
Yeah. But it's also a bit like it's like a kid wanting something from their mom or their dad. They're like, Dad, Dad,
Yeah.
Dad. It's like Captain Solo, Captain Solo, Captain Solo.
Yeah.
Like the layers.
Yeah. One more time.
Okay, the engine. I want to know about the engine.
How's this?
Would it help if I got out and pushed?
Captain Turner. Captain Turner.
Mine.
Okay. All right, that's enough.
That's got me in there too.
Okay, so it's hard to know exactly what part of the Falcon sound, but I'll read you what I know about the Falcon in Empire Strikes Back. So let's see. Well, we're not in the cave yet, so we won't do that. A lot of the mechanical sounds in this film, like the Falcon detaching from the Star Destroyer as it drifts off of the space junk, which is not quite here, but some of the mechanical sounds, because that's the thing. A lot of these things were not just like, here we're going to record this thing to be this thing. A lot of it is like, we're recording a lot of these things because it's to use in various things. So anyway, they recorded on board this aircraft carrier USS Constellation. They sent a 2-man crew out there to record the sound of jets, like landing and taking off, and all the mechanics on board the aircraft carrier, the elevators, the catapults, the mechanisms for stowing the aircraft, the motors, and all of those sounds that are only heard on board an aircraft carrier. So, I mean, I can imagine like real aircraft sounds being incorporated.
It makes sense. It's the mechanical nature of it and flight, obviously. So it would be the most obvious place to go, I suppose.
And then for the hyperdrive malfunctioning, which maybe some things were used here too. Let's see. They combined a few things. An inertia starter off an old 1928 biplane, the sound of an air jet recorded in a dentist's office, an air hiss as if air is escaping from something, the sound of an arc light motor starting and stopping, sort of a clunking sound, and the motor inside of an armored tank, and pipes that Ben heard in the water closet.
Oh.
So I think that will come up, I think that will come up later on more but.
Yeah.
So I guess the
just
answer is lots of
the
things.
amount of detail going into it, like it's not just any one thing, it's all this stuff combined and remixed and edited and layered and everything like that. It's just so dense.
Right. Like I think to someone like me who I don't have the greatest understanding of how mechanical things work, like I might think, oh, what is the sound of an engine starting? But if you were to tell me like, okay, create the sound of a party, it would be easy for me to say, okay, well, there are many elements to a party. You're probably going to have like an underlying, chatter of babble. You're probably going to have like some peaks of laughter. You're probably going to have some music. You might hear some clanging because they're just like there are many layers. There are many things that make this one sound of like a party. And so it probably is that way for people who understand, just the sound of engines and flying and everything, which is not like also a very complex sound with multiple. It's not just one thing.
True.
Yeah, many things happening in it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, I've never even just assume it's one thing making the sound, but obviously there's a whole bunch of mechanical things going on underneath it that need to combine to make the whole sound.
Yeah. So we're pretty much at the end of the minute. Yeah, we're at the end of the minutes.
Yeah.
But who do you think wins this battle?
Well, I'll stick to my guns and say the Imperial March, but I'm not as confident as I was at the start. But I feel like we do go.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Sorry, you talking about the scores?
No, I'm sort of meaning like, okay, I guess where my question is coming from is like, I didn't realize until very recently that the rebels lost this battle.
Yeah.
because in my, like, what I remember as a kid is taking the AT-AT down, like the fact that our heroes survived it. And the, like, I feel like I was more swayed by the triumphant aspects of the music and like, I didn't really comprehend as a kid, like, okay, they did take some AT-ATs down, but overall, like, this was bad for
Okay.
them. Like, I think I was
Yeah.
like, this was bad, but they still won because they survived and they took down
I feel like
an AT-AT in a very, big way.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because escape is a victory for the rebels. Like living on to fight another day, that's all they need to go to keep going. And I suppose in a way, it is a loss for the Imperials because they want to take out everyone, and they lost that. Even though they probably had the more casualties or whatever, and obviously messed up the whole rebel mechanism. It's maybe we could call it a draw.
Yeah, and it
In a
does make
weird
me,
way.
and it makes me realize, like, probably in the outcome of battles is probably more up to interpretation than
Yes,
I realized. Because some people
it's not so cut and
people
dry.
have different standards of what is a win and a loss. It is a loss that they blew up the command center, or it is a loss that their base got that their base is now destroyed. But they survived, so that's also a win.
Yeah, it's not. This is
Yeah.
where the sports analogy fails. In sports, there's a clear winner and there's a clear loser most of the time, but maybe here it doesn't work that way. Sometimes
Right.
both of them win, both of them lose for different reasons. Or
Yeah.
winning the battle and losing the battle and winning the war, all that type of
Yeah, and
ideas going
I
on.
think
They don't
some
have
would
to win
say
everything.
that because they evacuated, because they retreated, is probably a loss. But then I don't know. It's hard to see. It is hard to see it as a loss when we already know the ultimate outcome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's easier to see it as just a journey on the way to them still winning.
Yeah, you need to show someone this single scene who had never seen a Star Wars movie before, and then they'd only show them this bit, and then they might be able to give us the most objective answer, I suppose, in a weird way. But we obviously have our own biases, and the music does a lot of influencing in our interpretation of what's happening.
I think the music still tells us, like, even though lots of lots of rebels are dying, and there's this, scary Darth Vader and the Empire and everything, I think the emphasis on the heroic, like the silver linings or whatever. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I think the music is telling the audience it's going to be okay. The heroes are going to win. It's going to be okay. Like, and I think that's what a lot of the music in Star Wars does, where it kind of makes things that could be tragic. It kind of immediately manipulates you into a perspective that keeps you in the fun of it, in the bigger picture, in the and it's a good thing. It helps craft the style and the mood, the tone of the of the whole series, of each movie.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Yeah, it's only, again, it's only a 5-minute chunk, so there's obviously so much more to go on. So it's nearly, you can't, maybe where the chunk is influencing our interpretation of it as a whole. Because I'm only tackling these 5 minutes, so I don't care about the rest of the movie. You have to look at the rest of the movie, but I just care about these 5 minutes. So in my head, that's the frame I was coming at it with, but without really considering the larger context.
I mean, I think the Empire
such an
does,
important
like,
thing.
I think the Empire for sure wins this, and it's just interesting. I just think it's funny that as a kid that escaped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joy's growing up.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up was I did get comments on Discord about the dynamic between Han and Leia being more subtle in this movie and than in the previous movie. And Alex in particular on Discord, thank you for these. Thank you for making me want to pay more attention. Specifically calls out Harrison Ford's upgraded, perhaps, vocal performance as Han, or just more subtlety in general. And then someone else, Commander Taco, spoke of the performance upgrades perhaps being an effect that that Kirsch had on the film, being more of an actor's director, basically.
And Lawrence Kasdan giving them tolerable dialogue.
That's true.
Might be more
That
might
is
be more nuanced and draw out those relationships a bit more, because he loved Han. That's why he wanted to write solo, because he enjoyed the
That's a
character
great
so much. So
point.
clearly he's interpreting it a little differently. His version of the character is going to be more nuanced than the lad in the canteen that
is a
Lucas
good
wrote
point.
4 or
That's
5
a good
years
point.
earlier.
Yeah, when a screenwriter really likes a character,
Yeah.
I wonder how that impacts. Yeah, how they write them. Yeah, what do you think of the dynamic between Han and Leia in this movie versus the previous movie versus A New Hope?
How many scenes in how many speaking scenes do they actually have together in New Hope? They probably do. They have any on their own?
On their own? Oh, that's a
That
good question.
Luke isn't with them. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe there's a fleeting moment in the Death Star on the Falcon after,
That's a really
but
good point, because I feel like they're always
not
together.
much. Yeah, it's the trio, but now obviously in this one Luke split off for like all the movie pretty much. So we only get what the Luke Leia scenes are probably Luke in the back to Tankin afterwards, and then the very end when he's getting his robotic hand, and when she's getting him off Cloud City at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So the Han Leia relationship is the primary relationship of the movie as a whole.
That's
you could
true.
say Luke Yoda, but I don't know if there's much of a relationship there, rather than world building and plot development and stuff that we're relatively familiar with before with the Ben Luke relationship. So I feel like it's a different aspect that's been explored here.
That's a really good point.
Unless we're forgetting some scene.
Well, I think the Yoda Luke stuff is it introduces. It is about the relationship between Luke and Yoda, but it's also about the relationship. It's with Luke and the Force, and Luke and himself.
Exactly, yeah.
It's that I think is the primary point of those scenes. But yeah, the movie really is Han and Leia in a way that A New Hope wasn't.
And then even third act, you have Lando coming in, and then just Han looking at Leia, knowing Lando's there, and now his relationship's changed, and Lando's obviously after her for his own reasons too, and obviously leading to the "I love you, I know" scene at the end. It's all kind of building towards that. So I feel like the movie's about Luke becoming a Jedi and learning the truth about his dad, but then obviously this whole part of the film, I wonder how much runtime is actually devoted to the Luke aspect versus the Han and Leia aspect. Would be interesting to
that will be interesting,
because it's probably close to 50-50, I'd assume.
That would
maybe
be
a
my
little
guess.
bit more biased towards Luke. Yeah, but it's more of an ensemble movie, I suppose, given to them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I feel like whoever that comment wasn't wrong, that there's definitely an upgrade with regard to their relationship between them and everything behind the scenes.
And it's sort of like not just one thing. It's like maybe this is a few years later, so maybe Harrison Ford and the others are better actors now. Maybe they're just they're able to jump back into their role like it's an old glove or whatever. Maybe the having a better script really helped too, and perhaps the better direction really helped too, and perhaps having scenes that facilitate those relationships help too. Like, and the music, Han and Leia have a new theme in this movie. The new theme helps too. I think it's like everything is really working in its favor.
And I thought one more thing. There's the whole history of them outside of the movie as well. That do they have an affair? There was some relationship going on. I definitely read about it.
Wait, who?
A while ago in Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. They had.
Oh, really?
I read it in her.
Oh, in her memoir.
Book.
Oh, I need to read
her memoir.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard it's really good. Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
No, there's extra filmic influences going on, probably in that whole dynamic.
I have to say that really probably that colors a lot.
Yeah. Not any one thing, a bunch of things in combination. Yeah, I definitely recommend that book because it's just her own voice completely throughout the thing. Like you're laughing throughout it the whole time. It's just so entertaining.
What's it called?
would recommend. Oh my God, is it called The Princess Diarist? I think it might be called The Princess Diarist.
Oh, that would be funny.
I
Okay.
will
Yeah.
double check. And
I'll put a link in the.
I'll email you
I'll
after.
list it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Every time it comes up, I'm told that it is a must read, and yeah, definitely. I just know she has more than one book, so I just want to make sure. Wishful
Yeah, it's
Drinking
one of the more recent
or
ones.
The Princess Diarist. Yeah, I see The Princess Diarist.
Think
Yeah.
The Princess Diarist. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, definitely will happen.
You'll read it in like a day.
Oh my gosh. Audio. Is there an audiobook? Did she get to record it?
Oh, if she has narrated an audiobook, I will be downloading that as well.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I want to know.
I read the actual thing,
Okay. Yeah.
but in her own voice, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'll check. I'll read it either way. But
Don't know
if there's a version
yeah.
with her reading it, I want that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, is there anything from these minutes or the film that you didn't get to mention before I run through the cues and the themes and stuff?
No, I'm just very jealous of whoever is doing the asteroid field next week, and I'm very jealous of whoever is doing Yoda lifting the X-wing out, and I'm very jealous of who's ever doing the Cloud City stuff, because I think this is just Williams' masterpiece. I don't think there's a weak moment in this film at all. I feel like, in a weird way, I saw this meme before. It's a bit of a stupid example. Before Mark Hamill was in Star Wars, he had never seen a Star Wars movie before. It's a very stupid joke. But then I feel like when Williams is coming to do Empire Strikes Back, he knows actually what he's doing now. He's seen the final product and he has an idea of the whole scope of the thing and the critical and commercial reaction to everything in the outside world. So I feel like he's probably coming at Empire Strikes Back with a different mentality than he did with A New Hope. And obviously he has the whole history and catalogue of themes that he's established, and now he's just free to play around in the sandbox.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to make the sandbox anymore. So I feel like, I don't know, I think this is just my favourite of all of his scores. So
Well, do you
I'm
have
very
any
jealous of you having to go through the whole thing.
do you have any quick notes to impart on us for the minutes coming in the future? Like a little teaser of your thoughts? Any
Just
like,
nothing other than the fact that it's just great.
Great.
I
Yeah.
actually feel like I need to listen to everything. Or just at the end credit suite. Oh my God. And everything those final 5 minutes where it's just the pair of them on the, I'm not going to remember the name of the ship, but when they're looking out at the planet and Chewbacca and Lando are flying away in the Falcon, that is just gorgeousness personified in music.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like the score, if you can't tell.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Good. I don't know if I said the opposite after this. Oh my God. This is horrible.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, the cues that we were in during these minutes, or whatever, the cues that were in these minutes are 4M1, Luke's first crash, and 4M2, the Rebels escape again. And in the soundtrack, this is the Battle of Hoth. The themes that we heard were 16B, the Dark Side Ostinato, the Imperial March theme, the main theme, aka Luke's theme, A section, the Force theme, the Rebel fanfare, the Imperial March bridge section, and Leia's theme, very briefly.
Did you say who won the scores?
Oh, because the Imperials just. Okay, wait. After the Force theme and Rebel thing, how many times do we hear the Empire? The Empire takes over. I know. After the Strident Force theme and the
3 times by my count.
Oh, it's a tie.
Oh, it's a tie. Of course it is. That makes sense. We called it.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times. The one with the extended version at the end, and then the 2 in the final minute when Vader walks through the doors.
Yeah, they really. It is quite well balanced. It is well balanced.
Just like the Force. There we go. Tied in a bow.
Good one. All right. Are you ready for the Star Wars Music Minute Questionnaire?
I think so. I hope so.
Awesome. Question number 1. In exactly 3 words, what does Star Wars sound like?
Just based off these 5 minutes, I'd say vivid, symphonic storytelling. Just everything's so clear.
Nice.
We just get it. Such a beautiful picture of everything.
Number 2, what is something related to Star Wars music or sound that you want to learn more about?
I don't think I mentioned it at all this episode, but I'd love interviews with the orchestrators. Just, I feel like we know about the sound and we get stuff from Williams, but with who did the orchestration for these minutes? I can't even remember. I did look it up, but I'd lost it at one stage. But yeah, I feel like we don't hear their side of the story very much. So I feel like that whole process, and I'd love to know their individual, like, do they have authorial stamps? Even though it's Williams writing, like, is there any little Angela Morley-ism that sneaks into somewhere, or
I'm sure
Thomas
Frank
Newman
Lehman
or
would
whatever?
have. I'm sure Frank Lehman and Dan Golding have opinions about that. I think I remember Frank Lehman mentioning stuff about Angela Morley being, I think, in a positive way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I saw a piece of, she had arranged something from Cinema Paradiso, that Ennio Morricone score, and I saw it over the summer, and it was just gorgeous. It was a gorgeous orchestral arrangement of what was like a piano theme originally. It was so nice.
Nice.
Would recommend.
I would really like that too. I'm trying to actually think of who is still alive.
Oh God. Yeah.
I think that would be a limiting factor, unfortunately.
Yeah, to say the least.
But maybe there are. I mean, maybe there are existing interviews that are just since they're not like
Buried.
YouTube videos or podcasts, they require actual digging in a different way.
Research.
Yeah. If anyone listening has any interviews that you know of any of the Empire Strikes Back orchestrators, please comment or send them to me. Or yeah. Okay. So that would be great. Yeah. And finally, what is a score or soundtrack that you're fond of besides anything Star Wars?
My whole PhD is like devoted to Williams, so I'm deliberately not choosing a Williams one because that's too on brand.
Well,
just
now I'm
in
curious.
the wake of Andor, I'm just on a Nicholas Britell journey, and I'd seen If Beale Street Could Talk whenever it came out 4 or 5 years ago, and I've gone back to that score a couple of times, but the past week or two I've just been enjoying it's such a autumnal score. I feel like that,
like autumn,
just the colors of it are yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just the brass colors in it are so beautiful. It's just such a the word's clearly stuck in my head now. It's such a vibe. That's a terrible sentence, but it's just a great. I know I hate myself for saying that. It's a great. It's just a great mood piece. I love it.
That's a good one. Yeah. Did you enjoy Andor? The Andor score?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay, cool.
I love everything about it. Perfection.
And you are a pianist, so
yes.
A lot of Nicholas Britell's music features the piano. So
yeah. Oh, have you heard Succession? I presume you've heard the Succession theme. That's amazing as well. His piano theme.
I haven't fully delved into the soundtrack because I haven't watched the show, and so. But
just listen to the theme.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so good.
Will do. I'm making my way through his discography, so I will get to it. Well, actually, I might be already there. Awesome. Well, Conor, where can people find your work online? Do you have any other articles? Where are you going to publish your what's your dissertation title? Do you have one?
No,
Okay.
I had one in first year, and it was terrible. It's basically on anything Williams and Americana, anything Copeland sounding, so stuff from his westerns, his war films, his historical dramas. I'm just looking into the whole influence of American symphonic music and that whole side of things on those probably less appreciated scores, but they're all wonderful scores in their
like
own
Lincoln
right.
and
I'm literally doing a talk on Lincoln in Paris next Friday. So
you're going to the John Williams conference.
I am. It's going to be the nerdiest thing in the world.
Oh my gosh. I hope so. Will any of it be streamed? I really want to watch it.
I don't think so, but I'm going to try and just ask everyone for their papers just so I can read them again afterwards, because my French isn't the best, so I'm going to have to try and translate stuff. But I'm sure if you email, have you seen the program? I have seen the program.
I have seen the program, and there will be a couple guests from there who are also going to be there.
Yes. But, Frank will be there, and
Frank will be there.
I think Samantha's doing a talk there as well. I presented next to them last summer I did a talk on The Cowboys, a Williams Western that's really
So
wonderful
okay,
and overlooked too.
is it usually? So you're not American. I'm just curious. Or are you? No, you're
No, I'm
not.
not.
Yeah.
No, I'm
So
not.
I'm curious how this interest in the American Western side of his music developed.
I don't really know.
Okay.
It just I'd done my undergrad dissertation and my master's dissertation on Star Wars. And it's like I love Williams, but I want to do something different. And my supervisor had a passing interest in this side of things as well. It was just something new I wanted to get into. But it's oh my god, there's actually so many of American sounding scores rather than those traditional European influenced or old Hollywood influenced scores that I think people think of straight away, like stuff like Saving Private Ryan or Amistad, Nixon, JFK, Lincoln, The Post, all those early westerns. Like, there's so many movies there that I feel like people aren't talking about enough. So
Okay.
I'm trying to fill in the
I
niche.
guess okay, because American, like people on both sides of the pond, is that the idiom? Is that how you say it? On both sides of the pond? Is that the
Yeah.
way to say it? Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
people on both sides of the pond. You grew up kind of playing classical music, learning about
Yes.
classical music, right? Okay, so we all are indoctrinated into the European stuff, all of us. So, and then there are, and so I feel like talking to another person with a classical music background, I feel like we have a lot of shared. There's going to be a lot of shared connections that I can already assume just based on just how it goes, and all the people that we will both know, and then the people, and then there's the Brits and the Americans, and I feel like that they also are part of the quote unquote canon that I think everyone knows but I'm never quite sure. Like Americans definitely know about Benjamin Britten and Elgar and people from British people. I don't really know any people on your side of the pond that are not British. I don't really know much about like Irish or Scottish composers.
There's one Irish composer who's worth anything called John Field, and his credit is he invented the nocturne. That was his claim to fame.
Okay. And then there's Copland, Gershwin, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I'm never quite sure how much you all care about Copland and stuff like that.
Yeah, Copeland and Gershwin definitely would be familiar with, but like there's not much beyond that. I was doing a class, teaching a class the other day on William Grant Still, who's like an amazing composer as well. And I've gotten into a bit of Ives, and then like when I'm looking at Copeland, I'm looking at Roy Harris and Virgil Thompson, who I don't think have like lived a long like careers at all, like after they died or after the 1920s or 1930s. So kind of those people around the same time as Copeland, like pre-World War II, I'm looking into a little bit, but Copeland's kind of just the dominant name. He's the shadow that hangs over all of this type of writing. It's a good shadow though. Yeah,
Copeland is like the Elgar of...
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess Hollywood, of American composers.
Yeah, I guess Hollywood also spreads Western music. Like,
yes.
I mean Western in the Copeland-esque, cowboy-esque, country Western-esque type of sounds. So anyway.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for answering that. I felt...
I don't know if I did. No worries.
I mean, I guess, maybe it was a little ignorant of me to be like, wait, why do you care about American composers? But...
It's just something different.
But John Williams is one.
The best.
So
he's the next in line. He's the inheritor of Copeland.
So anyway, I cut you off. I know that people can find you on Twitter, etc.
Where CPower 1997, I think that's it.
Okay.
And I had an article out. I had an article out for Ireland's national broadcaster 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
On Williams's retirement and what that means for
Please send me a
music
link
in general. I will.
Yeah.
I was very pleased to have that out. So that and the Indiana Jones article that you mentioned earlier, they were my two most recent publications, and hopefully more to come in the future.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Twitter's the place for the updates. However long it lasts.
You're right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise and your analysis with the show.
Thanks for having me.
Listeners, we'll be back next week to talk about minutes 36 through 40 of The Empire Strikes Back. And as always, thank you for all the questions and comments and little tips that you send me. I appreciate them all. May the Force be with you, and talk to you next week on Star Wars Music Minute.